Welcome to another edition of A Strange New Pod. I'm your captain and host, Julian Brown. Yes, I did pre-order my Tom Paris commemorative plate. Did you?
Of course you did.
Did you?
Yes.
I want to know.
Nope.
Alongside the best co-host this side of the Delta Quadrant, the recently promoted board queen of puns, Lieutenant Brittany.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Wait, what?
Thank you.
She got promoted while you were gone.
Congrats.
Right?
Sucks not to be here, Aaron.
No, listen, I am like the
Harry
queen of
Kim's
every. Do you
jealous.
see my 85,000 pips? I own all of you.
Ensign Admiral Aaron. And then we have Lieutenant Hawk, who Mariner would definitely find hot if he was green. Ensign Aaron, who would absolutely be
Biceps.
just fine with her own Cation scratching box. And filling in for Admiral Eric
That's
this
so
week.
nice.
It's so nice. Commander Giraffe, who out of everyone in this group would absolutely be the one who is hardcore in to Klingon punk. Glory to you and your houses. How are you tonight?
Black alert.
Hey guys, this episode was hella fun.
It was hella fun. It really was.
They're all hella fun.
They are. We're going to get right into it. This week, Tom Paris, the man, the myth, the legend, the lieutenant, then ensign, then lieutenant again. He has not lost his touch. That means at both the helm and punching people in the face. Plus, a surprise, not so surprise main character return in Lower Deck Season 2, Episode 3. We'll always have Tom Paris. To our collective watching on Twitch tonight, who have actually been with us for some time because we pre-recorded an interview with the amazing John Jackson Miller. We interviewed him about his new Star Trek Picard novel, Rogue Elements. That'll be live on Monday, though you patron members might be getting a special surprise. Yeah, keep your comments and questions coming all night long about this episode. But before we do talk about that hunk of a man, Tom Paris, Hawk, we need to thank our awesome patrons at the Ready Room level and above.
Yes, we do. And they include Simon Stager, Jeff Reeve, Mariah Gossett, Spotted Giraffe, Rob, Jen Stein, Tina Alexander, Joe Saporito, Noe Santos, Kang Wee, JD, Takako Nagumo, Kara Kennedy, Mark, Fernanda Nogales, and SMK. Thank you all.
Yes,
Patrons.
thank you. Yes. To find out more about our awesome patron collective, all you need to do is go to strangenewpod.com, click on the Patreon tab. As we mentioned before we went live, Aaron's Trek Cocktails video for this month is live for August. It's awesome.
Mariners margaritas.
It's blue.
Woo!
There might be a
Because
special
she
ingredient.
likes that Romulan
She
vibe,
does.
Man.
She loves all the blue shit.
But can you
Listen,
make them into a slushy?
Yeah, I was
guys,
about to
I
say,
have-
how many
yes, you
slushies
can.
will it be?
You put it in a blender with some ice. It's a slushy. I have to tell you guys, if there's one drink that I'm good at making, it's a margarita. I have strong feelings about it. In the video, I tell you how to scale it up and down and make it cool. I really think everyone should be able to make a good margarita because you can show up to a party, you can have a party. It's easy. Yeah, I'm passionate about this. So just check out our Patreon and learn how
If
to
only
make a
if only Giraffe had ice in her house that one night.
Hey,
Oh,
hey,
man.
hey.
But the
First of all, these
tacos were
margaritas
solid.
were very good. We got drunk, which was the objective. So, and I still have all your margarita stuff. So, I'm
Yeah.
ready.
That's
Speaking
what
of-
kind of friend I am. When I go somewhere, I leave you the margarita stuff.
Speaking of, if you're listening live tonight, Drunk Space 9 is tomorrow. We're going to be watching a really fun episode,
Join
which name I
now.
don't remember, but it's about unions because
Whoop, whoop.
Labor Day is coming out and DS9 and work shortages and all that fun stuff. It's going to be great. So that's coming up tomorrow, or if you're listening in podcast form, it's today. Head on over to our Discord and watch along with us. And then come and get drunk if you're a patron member. Hawk, I believe we talked about this off air. It's contest time, right?
Right.
Woohoo!
So are we announcing our winners now?
We are announcing our whiskers. Our whiskers.
Our
I got
whiskers.
I got Dr. Tiana on the head.
Now you got
Uh,
Paw Patrol on the mind.
I do have Paw Patrol on the mind. Let's not talk about it because it was so good and it should have been. We asked our awesome collective to leave us a review on Podchaser because if you don't know yet, our awesome pod and this awesome crew was put up on Podchaser's top 60 podcasts to listen to in August. So congratulations.
Right above Dolly
Yes.
Parton's podcast.
Right above Dolly Parton's
Right
podcast. So we decided that we should really return the favor and show some love to Podchaser, who were gracious enough to put us on that list. And we asked some of our fine collective members to leave us some reviews on there, and we had a good amount do that. And we said if you do, we will be giving away 2 things. Our first prize, a copy of John Jackson Miller's new book, Star Trek Picard Rogue Elements. And our second prize, a Captain Kirk. Let me grab it real quick.
Captain Kirk.
Hey, Captain Kirk.
Funko Pop.
Pop. It's not really
Yeah.
showing up.
We
in the
don't
thing,
see
you
him,
get
but I
the
know he's
idea.
beautiful.
There he is.
There
Hey,
you
listen,
go.
our prizes are always legit.
They're
I have
always
to say.
awesome.
I mean, not to hate on other people, but our prizes are legit.
Yeah. So, Hawk, why don't you announce our first winner?
All right. So the top prize, a hardcover copy of Rogue Element,
Ooh.
goes to Takako Nagumo.
Yay!
Whoa!
Congratulations.
Yay!
Congratulations. And then go ahead and read off that second prize winner, Hawk.
All right. Our second prize winner of a Captain Kirk Funko Pop is Joe Saporito. Congratulations,
Ooh,
Joe.
Saporito.
Congrats.
Yay.
Awesome.
Join our Discord, join our Patreon. You get free stuff all the time.
Dude,
All
we have
the time.
awesome
Family.
fucking contests.
If we
really
can make
do.
it free, we give it to you.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. And I will say real quick that a lot of these contests are funded by viewers like you. If you really wanted to do the PBS thing, our awesome patron collective. So thank you to our patron collective. Let's get into the strange new loop. And we'll make this a quick one real quick this week. If you could get a commemorative plate of any Star Trek character, who would it be and why?
Oh, this is a rough question, man. There's so many people, but I think if I could get a plate from anybody, I would want it to be Giorgio because it would say something inappropriate.
Ooh.
And then the picture would be hilarious and I would use it for everything. And then people would be like, because like I mean, I have some non-nerd friends and they would be like, well, what's that? And I would be like, let me tell you a tale about Giorgio. So.
And if
Nice.
it's truly a Giorgio plate and that, it would probably have very sharp edges.
It'd be
Ooh,
very
I like
shiny
that.
and gold.
Nice.
It would be like her headpiece.
Yes.
Oh, man.
It would look exactly like that.
And if
Michelle,
it
yeah.
stabs you, you die because it's like poisoned or some shit.
It'd be like the Gom Jabbar from Dune, Brittany.
Right?
Oh, we're getting deep cut now. Okay,
Deep
who's
cut?
next? Who's next?
This is hard. I love too many Star Trek people.
Well, you're
Well,
between
already-
a rock and a hard place there with Tendi and Mariner. I can see you're right in the middle.
Literally a
Yeah,
sandwich.
This is like one of my favorite lines of the episode.
I'm gonna say it real quick while
Yeah.
you guys think. I would get a Tendi plate because Tendi has become my
Aw.
spirit animal of the show because one, she's really passionate about everything she does, but sometimes can go a little crazy about things, and that's very much me, and get a little nuts. Yeah, I want a Tendi
But it all
plate.
comes from a good place, right?
heart.
Like with Tendi.
Right?
The
You sound like that Star Wars meme.
right, right,
Right?
Right? Right?
Okay.
Oh man. This
I'm-
is hard.
I know who Giraffe is gonna say already, but Hawk, you look like you're ready to go.
Wait. If it's not Spock, I'll be shocked. But Giraffe,
No, it's
who
not
is it?
Spock.
Well, no.
Specifically
wait,
Ethan
Spock,
Peck. It's just him.
Spock already exists. They already have like a
Yeah.
commemorative
true,
plate
true,
for
true.
Spock. So it needs to be something that doesn't exist yet.
A lizard baby.
Lizard
I think
baby!
it exists.
That-
It exists. It exists. I'm pretty sure
does?
it does.
I don't know if
Okay.
it
Yeah.
does. We'll see.
Kidding.
A Voyager 1? No?
Maybe a
Looking
Voyager
this
one.
shit up
Just don't
right
drop it
now.
on your threshold or that'll break.
Whoa.
I was gonna let Hawk go, and then we'll get Giraffe go. But Hawk, you look like you were ready to go.
I think mine's pretty obvious in that the commemorative plate, of the man, the myth, the legend, Jean-Luc Picard.
I mean, I'm sure one exists.
It
So
exists.
It's gotta exist. Right?
I have to then make the question a little harder for you.
Okay.
What Jean-Luc Picard moment would you want on that commemorative plate?
Card sloop.
Ooh,
The-
yeah,
No,
right.
No. They died in a fire.
so
That way-
young.
It would be like not microwavable safe, not safe for like, being put in an oven.
You will
Dishwasher
ne-
safe though. Dishwasher safe.
You will never let that go, will you?
I won't. It's
Nope.
just it's the delivery. It gets me.
Oh,
Oh.
best Jean-Luc Picard moments. My God. God. Maybe all good things. Like all three
Oh.
Captain Picards on one plate and that commemorate one of his finest moments.
That would be a baller plate. I would buy that
Yeah.
plate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've decided mine will be a Vindicta one.
Yes.
Just,
Vindicta!
on our
I love that
throne.
idea.
there's a this
Oh
kind of
God, is
thing
that
for
the
Voyager.
Vidians?
Gorgeous.
Is that the
Yeah.
fucking Vidians?
Yeah, and you tell me there's not gonna be a lizard baby one?
Well,
Come
no,
on.
obviously now I'm
on it.
wrong. Oh
I'm
God,
on
the
it.
Guys,
I'm on
Vidians.
it.
I'm like
Did you get your
searching
bowl
it
signed
right
by
now.
Chakotay or whoever? I
Yeah,
love that so
Chakotay.
much.
Giraffe. Who would you pick?
Yes. So okay. So there's like a stupid answer and
Rich
like
tears.
a less stupid answer.
Lizard babies.
Thank you. So somebody was saying giant Spock, and I mean like big Spock supremacy.
Big
That
Spock
would be
supremacy.
that would
So
be
it'd be a
dumb, stupid
Thanksgiving
plate.
plate,
Wild
not a
triple
big,
chase.
Wouldn't
a
he
little
be on
plate.
a spoon though? So
Turkey
he could be
one?
a big
Turkey plate.
spoon? Big spoon Spock?
Oh, big spoon Spock.
work. Or
It's
spork.
difficult to say.
Big spork.
Big spork.
Big spork. Make it happen. Mike McMahon, where are you?
Make it so. No, I'm looking forward to see the one they're gonna do for Discovery, like a Captain Burnham plate.
Yes.
I'd buy a
Yeah.
Michael plate.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wouldn't even use it. I'd just be like, Saniqua, this is where you belong. Just the highest shelf in my room.
Who
That's
hasn't
what
gone
you do
yet?
with a commemorative plate.
everybody
You have
gone?
to put it up there.
Brittany, you said Michael.
No.
You haven't gone
I
yet.
said Vindicta.
Vindicta, sorry,
Vindicta.
Vindicta.
I'm
Michael,
always like going so hard for Saniqua
So hard.
Martin Green that you just always
Vindicta,
think that.
I
Michael,
want Vindicta to come
Picard.
back.
Aaron, you went first, right? Who did you say?
Oh, I've already forgotten. What did I say? Guys,
Did
what
you-
did I say?
I have no clue.
I've been drinking today.
So
can't
have I.
remember
It
things.
is, yeah. Let's move on.
Let's
Our
move on
audience is,
because
like,
I think
Somebody will play it back.
yeah, we'll figure it out. Maybe she didn't go. But the good news is, guys,
Oh, I said Giorgio. That's
You
what I
did.
said.
Giorgio.
That's a yeah. It's
I had an
true.
opinion.
the good news is we'll always have Tom Paris. We'll always have Tom
right.
Paris, right? And speaking of, we'll always have Tom Paris. Aaron, your thoughts on season 2, episode 3 of Star Trek Lower Decks?
I mean, I've been saying this for a minute, but I'm really enjoying Voyager finally getting love from this show, from Picard, because I feel like growing up, that show had a big effect on me. But so many people had this like, Voyager sort of feel. And to me, it was because there was a woman leading. Like, I feel like
Mhm.
that was the big reason. People were like, female captain, I'm not interested. And it's nice to finally see that the show is being accepted as part of like the family, and people really like it and the characters. And I know that Robert Duncan McNeil, who plays Tom Paris, has been involved with the world for a long time. He's directed Discovery and a bunch of the other shows. He did a bunch of those that Trek that we all love, Enterprise. And I
Cannot
just
confirm nor deny.
No.
yeah. Eric knows all about that, but I just thought it was a really fun. It like of all the characters for them to choose, I thought Tom Paris was a really interesting choice. And like the little bit where he's like a Kazon, and he just like, I think there's some of that like PTSD. He just goes straight at him. It's like super.
Oh, that was hardcore PTSD.
The fact
right?
that Boimler
Yeah.
pointed to him and yelled like, Tom Paris, I need you to whatever. So he immediately was like,
Can
it's
you
somebody
sign
from
my
the
plate?
Delta Quadrant, you
And he
know, like
looks-
it wouldn't be someone from here.
Yeah, and he looks so crazy, and his hair was all nuts because
Yeah.
and I think that the thing I like about Boimler is he's sort of like all of us, where we're like not manic, but we care about these things, right? And they mean something to us. And so for him, it means something to meet Tom Paris.
Speak
and
for
he's got the
yourself. I'm
plate
manic
and
all the
shit.
time.
Yeah, but like he's like everybody, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think that his energy, it all comes from a good place. So I'm just like, I enjoy his love of Tom Paris, even though I like that he's like, I got a black eye from Tom Paris, and that is awesome.
It's better than getting my
And
plate
he's making it
signed.
up to me later. We're going to get dinner.
Yeah, which is cool.
Hawk, your thoughts on this episode?
It was a great episode, especially for Boimler. Like, like basically like his kind of reintroduction to the ship and that, and like, all the kind of the self-doubt he has in that, especially like, he's not recognized by like the replicators or the ship itself and that, and he basically just trying to fight to find his place back in there, and just worrying that it's like, am I ever going to be accepted here again?
I love that he knows the ship inside and out like so well that he's just like, there's no reason they could possibly be running this right now.
all on a
Paris
mission
arrives.
all on a mission to get his plate signed by Tom Paris and that.
Yep.
And not to correct you or anything, Aaron, but it's boy.
Oh,
Yep,
boy.
listen,
You're right.
I've
it does
never
save
been on that
time.
gravy train. I write the whole word out. I hear what they're
Boy.
saying,
Boy.
but
I loved when
voyage.
Mariner said it.
I was just
He's
like,
like,
oh
"You're right."
yeah, it really does work.
Yeah,
It really does save time.
It does save time.
Was so
So good.
good. Oh, and obviously, like Tendi and Mariner's mission to get that stupid thing back to the cat lady.
Friendship.
I like that we got to see Tendi a little intense though when she was like, "Do it now, or I'll cut your hand off," or whatever the hell she said. It was nice.
Yeah.
Oh, and that is
she's
part
like,
of
I
a
hate this part of being an Orion.
I know, and it's part of a past that she's kind of left behind. As the guy referred to. What did he refer to
Like
as?
the white wolf of old.
The
or
queen,
something?
the queen
no,
of
it's
winter
the queen
solstice.
of the winter constellation.
Yes.
The
Oh my God,
queen
you
of the
said
winter
Royal so drunk.
constellations.
Is she the Bucky Barnes of Star Trek?
She might be.
Maybe.
Before-
What's that other title he called you? Divana?
That's my name.
Yeah, that was pretty intense.
That was bad.
I know that the fact that they're friends in that, but there's still a lot they do not know about each other.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was a great episode all around.
Before we get to draft, I'm going to go back to our Strange New Loop real quick. We got some answers on Twitch about commemorative plates. Lexi wrote, "Got to be Jet Reno. Her energy is everything I aim
Yes.
for
Yes.
in life. I love it." Jay says, Jay Crabsap Joe says 3 Picards in Q. I would buy that plate with 3 Nacelle Enterprise on it. Absolutely.
Amazing.
I'm digging it. Draft, your thoughts on this episode.
Okay, so I loved it, but there's a but.
The butt.
I wanted more Tom Paris. Come on. You sell
Fair.
me, we'll
He had his own
always have
show.
Tom Paris. And then he's like 2 scenes in and he does nothing. Mis à part. I'm speaking
It's
French.
okay,
I'm
I
so
know.
tired.
I know
It's
what you're
good you're
saying.
reaching that international audience.
Go ahead, continue.
Merci.
Allez.
Except knocking him out. And I'm just like, I wanted the holodeck. I was expecting a Captain Proton, something about
Fair
Jesus. I don't
Haven.
know. They speak about it at the beginning. It was like, yes, bring it. And but I love the Tendi Mariner thing. Like it's a good episode. And what happens after death?
Yes.
Oh, God.
I don't know.
The Black Mountain.
I
where
wanna
you fight
know.
3
Black Mountain.
versions of yourself.
Do you know about
you-
the Black Mountain, baby
Do
bear?
you think we're gonna get Tom Paris back then? Because I didn't even think about that, but it makes sense. Like what, like perfect opportunity to do a holodeck episode with like Captain Proton or something.
Yeah.
I
Nah.
mean, I want that to be a short track, but like I think I would love that as just like a lower decks.
Just
Captain Proton against Vindicta. That's what I want.
Yes.
yes.
I think
Give it
that
to me, Mike
anytime
McMahon. Give it to
a
me.
main character of another Star Trek series shows up, it's not gonna ever be about them. Like even when Riker shows up, it's never about him. It's just about how Boimler
I don't
reacts.
know. There was that
So-
Enterprise
Yes.
finale, and it was kind of about him.
Yes.
on,
But
just-
the episode was we'll always have Tom Paris.
But it's a
Give
reference
me
to
more.
Casablanca. Like that's literally the reference. It's just a pun. They named all their episodes a pun, and it's
Which
supposed to
makes
show
Brittany
Boimler's
just
growth.
explode inside, which is
But, like,
amazing.
Boimler grows from being this person that used to idolize these people so much. Like he still does idolize Tom Paris, but every time he meets these people he idolizes, he realizes they are just fallible people. Like he was with Riker, wanted to be on his ship so bad, and realized, okay, this isn't actually what I want. I believed I wanted this so bad. Really just wanted Tom Paris to sign the plate so bad because he loves who he is in his adventures, but like Tom
Damn,
Paris is
Brittany,
the same as Mariner. He like
That is so insightful.
it's okay,
Very.
you're all just
I-
drunk. It's fine.
No. I agree with you. And I'm gonna let you finish in a
love this
second.
episode.
I'm gonna do a Kanye.
Did
I'm
you
gonna let you
just Kanye
finish.
her?
I just said I
Yeah,
Kanye'd her.
That's fine.
I'm gonna let
I
you
haven't
finish.
even given my opinion yet.
That's
was
why I
just
said that.
rebutting
That's why I said
whatever.
that. I'm gonna let you finish, but I did forget Jay's plate, which is probably the best plate suggestion of all of them, and that is
It was.
Tuvix, a Tuvix plate.
No, Brittany, you're blowing my mind with that though, because that makes so much
No,
sense.
but she's absolutely right, and I'm gonna get to that in my thoughts. But
show
yeah, go
It's
ahead.
all about the lower decks characters and their growth, and like they've been doing what we wanted this season, where they reference literally they break the fourth wall all the time, saying, "Hey, we never had a team up before. Let's do that." Like in this episode, and they do. So like the reason why we love Boimler so much in this season is because he's like learned and grown so much. Like we still liked him, but like he's much better in this season, and it's these certain qualities that you see him portray because he's so obsessed with getting this one important figure to sign his plate. Jesus, Tuvix.
Oh, Lord.
That by the end of it,
Giraffe
like
showing
even though he
two-
doesn't get it
two
signed,
dicks.
it's not even that big of a deal to him. He's like, I still probably will get it signed later, but and it also shows that like the main like Star Trek characters that show up in this show, so much shit happens in their own shows. They reference all the time. They're like, well, that stuff is always happening on the Enterprise. Stuff is always happening here. So like, for Tom to show up, the episode isn't from his point of view. It's from, there's 3 different storylines, which I love, first of all, because normally they just do 2. This is like 3 all over the place. When Shax is brought back to life, you're seeing it from somebody else's like viewpoint of the ship where they're not involved in it. We always see everything from the view of like the main crew. So we know when somebody dies and comes back, we were there as an audience with them. We experienced with the crew. We know what happened. We're in on it. It's hilarious to see like Rutherford running around and other people on the ship ask him what's going wrong. And it's this whole traumatic thing where they're like, oh, you
Go to
can't
your
even
superior
ask that.
for
What are you
immediate
saying?"
review.
So like the whole show, it lovingly takes these tropes and just, Mike McMahon chef kisses it everywhere. And I love this episode. I love like the fact that they get to bond and they point out the flaws in their relationships together. Boimler gets to do something on his own and grows and learns from it. He even
Does
rams
he?
the plate into
Does
the...
he grow and
Does
learn
he?
from it?
Does
He
he?
does, because by the end, he might have a concussion and thought a seam in the wall was a doorway. But
That was
like,
fucking hilarious.
by the end,
But he's
half the time
having a
he's ramming the
drink.
plates in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Having
like,
a drink with Tom
He could have
Paris.
broken it 5 times. He's getting a drink with somebody he idolizes and he's not being that weird about it. He's like, yeah, I got punched in the face. Maybe he'll sign my plate. Bye, guys.
Yeah,
And
but
we're like,
you guys broke my brain like last week when we talked about, I don't even know which one of you said it, but each Boimler is not quite the whole
Me.
of Boimler.
It was
Yeah,
me. Thank
okay.
you.
Yes.
Because
Okay,
all I
that's
was thinking
why the
during that,
computer. Say it.
I thought so too. Oh my God. No, you say it, Giraffe. This is your opinion now. Go.
Okay, so everybody
can't.
gave me shit for that, but I still stand.
she's
the
like, the theory
cat is
stands.
not a cat, and Boiler is not Boiler. I
Schrodinger's
No.
Boimler.
You did
So-
this to me.
We'll see.
I
We'll
listened
see.
So-
to you.
I mean, they really just jacked
Boimler-
up the protocols, though.
the computer does not recognize Boiler because it's not really him. There are like 2 parts of him, so that's why.
I'm gonna say to be determined, not because of anything we see in the future, because
I'm
I
with
honestly
her.
don't know. But I still
100%.
I personally think that it is the real Boimler. I think some idiot aboard the Cerritos, because it is the Cerritos, just forgot to put his command codes in, and Ransom was
No,
just
man.
I think Ransom
He's
lied to him.
Boimler.
It's fucking
He's the
Ransom
real-
though. Do you
he's
think
the real
Ransom's gonna admit a
Boimler,
mistake?
But he's not the fully
Ransom's not gonna
formed
admit he's
Boimler.
wrong.
Guys, sometimes
So-
things are metaphors. I
Thank
just
you.
want to throw that out there.
And that,
The
We'll
and
ship
that's
was
find out
abandoning him
in
because he
6
was
to 8
learning how to find his
episodes.
place back in, and he was worried
yes.
that there wasn't a place for him
Yes.
anymore. And by the end, there is.
And Joe is right. The door worked for him in the end. True
Yeah.
facts. Okay, so my thoughts on this episode.
You might
As
be
you
right,
all
though.
well know already, we had screeners for this, and I watched a bunch of these in a row, and I just kind of was on like the lower decks like train. I was like, oh, this is awesome, this is great. So this episode's good. It's good. It's maybe very good, maybe it's not. The Tom Paris stuff I'm perfectly fine with. Again, it's metaphor, like Brittany said. This is about the lower decks. It's not about Tom Paris. It's not about Voyager. The amount that we got of him was perfectly fine, and him beating the shit out of Brad Boimler is an all-time
That was
Star Trek
hilarious.
moment.
Kazon!
My beef, and I wouldn't even call it beef, but my big takeaway from this episode, having watched it a second time, is I really don't like, and we're going to talk about this in detail in a little bit, how they handled Shaq's return. One,
Really?
I don't. Yeah, I really
Yeah,
don't.
that's
Well,
like
Hot
The
takes.
least thing for me.
like
Julian,
one,
that was like,
no one.
Let him go.
I don't think that he should have returned, for one thing. I think I feel like we've talked about this on another podcast with a
I
different,
agree with you. It
with a
diminishes
different-
the death.
yeah,
I
it-
agree.
like his whole sacrifice with Rutherford is just kind of like turned into a joke, and I don't like that. Like, and then they introduced us to Kayshawn last week, and he could have been a replacement, or like someone said they could have done the
Puppet surgery.
yeah, no, but they could have just been like
Just
a
like a
revolving door
new- yeah.
of security officers.
Like Harry Potter.
Yeah, sure. I don't like the way it was handled, and it felt very cheap. And I will say this, I know a couple of our Discord collective members picked up on this early. His name was in the credits for episode 1, so they spoiled the fact that he was coming back right away. So his return was cheapened even more.
I
So
mean,
I
they
really,
spoiled it in the trailer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
and they
Yeah,
spoiled it in the trailer.
We were like, he's probably back,
He's
but
back.
it could be a flashback.
So and Trek doesn't do that, like, and animation doesn't do that. I was like, no, he's coming back. And I really didn't like, am I happy that like the actor and the character is back? Yeah, because I like Shax and I think he's really cool, but I don't like how it was handled. Other than that, dude, Tendi going full Orion with Mariner ramming the fucking ship with a shuttlecraft and blaming it on all things a fucking bee. Oh my God, spirit
Well,
animal,
like that
friendship,
interview we just had.
Friendship girl trip. That was the highlight of this episode.
Girl trip.
I love that she's like, oh, you like bad boys? And she's like, oh, I'm always dating bad boys, bad girls, bad gender, non-binary babes, ruthless alien masterminds, bad binars.
Bad
Like,
binars.
oh my God.
But not Jennifer, because
and this was the confirmation, right? Like we already got it last season, but even more that Mariner is LGBTQ, will fuck, talk, do anything to anything that is walking and
Captain
talking.
Jack Harkness of Starfleet.
Of Star Trek,
but better.
absolutely.
Mariner is bae.
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah. So I think Jay was asking, will they mention non-binary? I'm pretty sure she said like,
Yeah,
I
they do.
will
She
tap
did.
non-binary.
She made
Non-binary,
a
yeah.
pun. She made a
She did.
pun because
Yeah.
she said non-binary babes, and then later on said bad binars, like binary
Yes.
things.
So
like binary
this
stars.
episode was good. It wasn't my favorite of the season. It wasn't my favorite of. It's not on a favorites list. But let's get into it a little bit more.
I really liked it.
One of the things in this episode is growth, obviously, right, between our lower decks peeps, right? We said 2 weeks ago when we did our like what's going to come in future episodes, this is going to be a theme over the next couple of episodes. Going to see a lot of that next week. You're going to see a lot of that in episode 5. What did we think about this Tendi Mariner team up, right? Because they're struggling to get to know each other. They realize they really didn't know each other as much as they thought, but evolved from kind of like co-workers to true friends in this one. What do we think?
It needed to happen. I'm glad it happened, and it was fun. That fucking scratching post, man. And I knew it. I was like, it's not about the scratching post. It's going to be the fucking box because she's a cat. And then it happened. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
See,
way
I
her
didn't
eyes
get
go
that at
boop.
all. I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
how are they going to fix this
Her
shit?
coital
But
hooks.
this whole season seems to have been more so far about like deepening relationships. And I think the first season was a good setup, especially for people who haven't seen. I think even though it was like a good reference fest for most of us, I think it was more of a setup for who are these people, what is their world, and now we're in the, you know, these people and their relationships around them. Like we're even
The
seeing
deep
shit like
narrative.
they're in sonic showers and stuff together, you know, like we're seeing their real life. And I kind of like that, because I think the best thing about Lower Decks is that it's a slice of life show with all the excitement of a regular show. But my favorite thing are in any movie or TV show or book that I read is like those little slices of life that you learn about the characters. And I think that's what this episode was. It was them deepening their relationship through like, oh, your name, this is who you are, you don't have pheromones. Oh, and even like the stuff where Mariner was a little uncomfortable with being turned green. Like I think you get a lot of these, like you learn a lot about these characters.
Yeah, she was like, don't take any pictures. And you're just like, ah,
Yeah.
racism.
Yeah.
I got it. I got the joke.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about Mariner in that episode, to be honest. I feel they're like setting her up more and more to be a fuck up, basically. She kind of like let down her friend and then kind of try like to grapple with it and like fix it last minute. In first season, she was the woman with a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Like you thought that she was doing whatever, but she was actually planning along. She had like with the Ferengi, for example.
Yeah, she knows everything.
Like
She's
she
never
was
wrong.
here for their. She was here for her friend. She was here to help them grow. And like it's been 2 episodes where basically we see her kind of like being kind of up and down, and I
But
don't.
she
really
made
know.
the B plan in the end, and it worked.
Yeah, but
She
it was
always
kind
has
of like
a plan.
yeah, but it was kind of like last minute.
Ridiculous.
She did fuck up pretty bad and like let Tendi down pretty bad, to be honest. So
But every time it like broke and stuff, it wasn't necessarily just her fault. Like they're both trying to put it back in the box when it breaks.
But
Then
she
she's like, I
started
have a
that shit.
fixer.
She did.
And the thing is,
with the
No,
nosy
no,
can, it's
hold
our
on.
fault.
no,
That's
but
true.
she's cheating them at like the weird game they're playing,
Dom
and then
John.
he
Dom
smash-
John.
yeah, and then
Dom
he
John.
smashes it. So the thing is, like, she never physically broke it. It's always broken apart because of what they're doing together. Because once again, it's a metaphor for how they work together. The more they like are abrasive against each other, the more it breaks. Like they're not agreeing on their plan, like things aren't working. And then when Tendi gives up trying to take that like and deem its importance over Mariner, that's when things get better and things are solved.
I mean, she was the one who wanted to open the crate originally.
Yeah, just to check it out. But they were
Yeah.
both joking about it, and Tendi's like, "Ooh, you're touching it with your
Well,
hands." So if she
That's
never
true.
would have said that, it would have
Mm.
never
I think-
broken.
The thing I've noticed in season 2, where in season 1 she is definitely like we've got more of a hero vibe. I think where she fucks up a lot in season 2 seems to be like as these things seem to be more personal, like more like this mission it is like a more personal thing. It's not about the mission, it's about them being together. And that seems to be where she fucks shit up, because I remember in season 1 where she's with her friend who's now a captain who came to be like a
Mhm.
sub-captain.
Yeah.
That's where she fucks shit up too. So I think that because she now has spent time with Tendi and has formed a relationship as with like, Boimler and Rutherford, and she wants to deepen it, but she's still fucking afraid. And so like that's her default. Is I don't think she's fucking it up. I think part of it comes from like that fear. So I think Mariner's still the badass, but her fear of this like even friendship intimacy
Yeah, it's
causes
her
her to
vulnerability.
she fucks things up almost on purpose because she's not there yet. I think I mean the show is, I feel like, her journey. So at least that's where I see it. Is I don't see her as fucking this up. I think she's trying to figure out how to be a friend and fucking up that way. Like she's like, oh, let's have this adventure together, and won't it be more fun if we open this fucking thing up? Even though she knows if she weren't close to Tendi, she wouldn't have done that. But she did it to try to like deepen this thing, and then it fucked everything up. So I don't know.
Valid.
Hawk, anything?
Yeah, I
all
don't know.
valid.
Like I like until now I was like, oh, I want to be friend with her. It's gonna be fun. Now I'm like, phew.
Hey,
Like,
just hang in there.
I don't think I want her in my life. Like if I say like, no, don't open it, because if you open it and you fuck up, I may lose my job. And she's like, whatever, let's open the book. I
Dude,
know people
that's
like this.
Kirk
I don't
shit,
want them
though.
in my life.
I wouldn't
Hold
want to
on.
be with Kirk though, because Kirk, everything goes good for him, but everyone around him gets fucked. So like, I agree with
Yeah,
that. I don't want
exactly.
to be.
Hang
Yeah.
in
Like,
for
fuck
episode
that.
5. That's all I'm saying. If you don't still love Mariner after that episode, then you can be done.
I agree
hang
with
Yeah, I
that.
Hang
think
on-
it's a
hold
bit
on to hope.
simplest. That's
We
the
gotta
thing.
live in the
I
now,
thought-
guys. We gotta live
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
now.
I understand.
Exactly.
I
I don't
can
know.
see
Like
your
everybody told me,
perspective.
like, oh, you need to see episode 3. You're gonna see, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Underwhelmed.
I'm a
We
bit
gotta take it
disappointed
one
by
week at a
episode
time.
3.
I loved
Listen.
it. Voice acting was great. Animation was great. Story, compelling, narrative. Love it. I love a good narrative. Love themes. Let's go. That was it. That was my thoughts.
The girls argued. I was waiting for Hawk to say something. I liked it.
They've covered like a lot of the ground on this. The one thing I will say is that it was nice to see, like, I like that they debated the question about, are we friends or are we people just kind of in a
Mhm.
shared circumstance, and that co-workers or bunkmates or that, and the fact that Mariner works so hard to try and prove that they're friends. This is where all the fuck ups come along, and that she's like she wants a better friendship with Tendi, and that, and Tendi obviously wants one with her, and that, but like Mariner will overtry.
Yeah.
And if she finds she's failing in that, she's gonna she will not. Failure's not an option for her in that. This is Kobayashi Maru time for
Mhm.
her in fixing a
Speaking-
friendship.
Speaking of the Kobayashi Maru, Ensign Admiral Aaron just got a comm message on her pad that she needs to run and get transported away. So we are going to say goodnight to Aaron. We will see you not next week, right? Are you gonna
No,
take
I
next?
will be also transported out to Dragon Con in order to let the world know about our great and fabulous podcast. But I'll
There you
see
go.
you in 2 weeks, I hope. if
2
I'm
weeks.
still
You
alive.
hope?
Hoping
Yes.
if she makes it back
Listen.
from Dragon Con.
Tell
I
our
have to tell
story.
you that there's a time after Dragon Con where I may or may not be on that next episode.
Yeah, it's called Con Crud. I've been there and done that. It's not fun. All right, Aaron, we will
RIP.
see you later. We are going to move on to our next question. And we've already kind of talked about this, but I'll ask the question, just get a quick answer from everyone.
And then there were 4.
Obviously, this title's aptly titled. I
Four
said that
lives.
twice. We'll always have Tom Paris, but there wasn't a lot of him in this episode, which some of us say wasn't the point. Some of us say, well, we want more. How are we on this? Okay with this? Not okay with this?
I say perish the thought of him having a whole episode dedicated to himself
Ooh,
in a
I
show
liked it.
called Lower Decks. Squeeze me. When's the last time he's been lower?
He
Damn,
got
Harry
he-
Kim has
hold
been
up,
lower
hold
of
up,
him the
hold up.
whole
He
time.
That's
did get
it. Where's
demoted in
Harry
Voyager,
Kim?
Aaron. I mean,
Yeah, but he got-
Brittany.
Promoted real quick.
That's
He's
true.
fine.
He's fine.
He's good. This is
How
a
about
Harry
you
Kim
guys?
erasure. I want a Harry Kim. You know what? I want a Harry Kim plate, not just a normal one, because I'm pretty sure they had it. But that time when all the clowns were harassing him in that one really weird
Yes!
episode,
Oh,
and he
the
turns
fall.
into like a baby. I want that specific image because it will haunt us all.
I agree.
Indeed.
I digress.
I'm with
That's it.
you.
I loved
Yeah.
his moments, but yeah, I was never expecting. I literally thought it would just be a quick cameo.
Jay does also, excuse me, Jay does also bring up the great point that he was the last time he was a lower deck, he spent 30 days in jail, which is also true.
Yep.
When he
And
got
wasn't
demoted
he
by
in Marseille or something?
I don't know. He got demoted by
Dweeb.
Janeway.
Was.
Draft, we already
Marseille.
kind of know your thoughts on this, but anything else you wanted to add about this?
No, I agree. I agree with Britt. I wanted Harry Kim. I mean, it's lower
Nah.
decks. Where is Kim? Come on.
They
He's
know we
always,
want it so
um,
bad. He's got to show up in an epic way because please. Yes,
I hope he's still an ensign, and I hope he's just gonna take a bunk.
He's just gonna be like playing his instrument sadly.
Yeah, exactly.
That would actually be a great episode if one day Boimler just walked into the bunks and Harry Kim was in his bunk spot and Mariner was like, "Hey, this is my best friend. His name is Harry. We've been tight for like ever." And what?
That reminds me, one of my favorite things in this episode is when she talks about being on Deep Space Nine, and
Yes.
she's like, "Yeah, I broke Worf's batleth or whatever. I had to go get it fixed, and I did it before he even got back." And she's like, "When were you on DS9?" And
what
she's
were you
like,
doing
"Before I
on
was on the
DS9?"
Keto." And I was like,
I was like in 5
Confirmed.
ships.
"Yeah," I was like, "Confirmed. Thank you." Like the timeline that she was there, I was just like, that means if I watch Deep Space Nine, she's there in the background somewhere. She's just
We'll
there.
find her. We'll find her.
Have you
goddammit.
seen?
Like season 4.
Have you seen that thing about like people saying that she's in Generation? She's a little kid that
Yes.
I believe
Cordula
it.
Forge
I'll
take
carries
it.
on his
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm like,
Yeah.
headcanon.
They
Hawk-
should just put Mariner and everything.
Yeah, they should.
I was more Tom Paris than I was expecting. I thought this whole thing was just going to be about the plate. And,
Right? I
and-
thought it was just going to be the plate itself.
and Tom Paris is basically just a gas-driven hallucination. But the
Oh.
fact that, oh god, it was so perfect though, like for Boimler to meet his hero Tom Paris for the very first time, like falling from a hatch above the ceiling and that, looking all crazy and that, and then just to get beat up because he mistook him for a Kazon.
He was straight up Rambo at the end of the episode with
Glorious.
like the thing
Yeah.
around his
Yeah.
head.
Yeah.
It's
I was
glorious.
expecting like
I'm sorry. Does that count as a Die Hard episode now?
It does.
I mean, that could be
Oh,
a
you're
Die Hard
right.
Shoot.
episode, right?
Yeah.
Shoot the glass.
Yes,
Anytime
one
you're
more to
crawling
the
around a
list.
Jeffrey's tube, it's Die Hard.
Facts. The other big reveal tonight, which I talked in detail about already, so everybody knows how I feel. The return of Lieutenant Shax. We
Shax.
called it. Listen, I'm very proud of this fact. We were the first on Twitter to call his return. We circled it. We said Shax is back. We were right.
Savior of the Referver.
How do we feel about the good old Bajoran's return?
I was here for it. I mean, it was one of those things where when he died, like it was emotional, but also we were like, but is he really dead? Because like, is he though? So, especially in the trailers when we saw him pop up, I was just like, yeah, they're probably gonna bring him back, or maybe it's a flashback, but probably not. And he's back. I liked how they did it. I thought it was hilarious, and I like that he didn't take it out on Rutherford when he did ask him like, how did you? I just need to know.
Well,
because
that's
I
his
feel so
baby
bad.
bear. It's like, baby
Yeah.
bear, you
Yeah, he's
okay?
like, baby bear. Yeah. But the fact that like Rutherford was holding on to this guilt for so long, like I also feel like they really did it for his growth. Because if he would have felt so bad about Shax dying for like the rest of the show, I would have sucked, but he's just like, I'm back, and this is exactly what happens, and this is why you shouldn't ask what happens. And I love that it fades out so you can't fully hear it. You hear like the Black Mountain, and you fight 3 faceless versions of yourself, and blah blah blah, and then
Of
it
your
like,
father.
yeah, oh yeah, your father, and then it tunes out, and then he's just like, it's great. I love it. You love to see it.
I was here at the end of season 1 for that beat of drama happening in Lower Deck, like having this like side of like seriousness of like seeing a warship getting destroyed, of like seeing people dying. I was like, okay, that's not only comedy, it's not only all the lulls, you know, it's actually Star Trek, and people are stuff is happening, you know. A bit like in the Orville, I'd say. Like at the beginning, so much comedy, and then they go serious, and you're like, oh, you can have both. I like that mix. And so bringing him back, I don't know, because somehow I like the fact that it added something to Rutherford. It made him a more complex character. He could have like developed a fear of losing somebody else, of going on missions. There was something to do to deepen the character. But then in Starfleet, you know, they're all broken into trauma. So I don't know.
They're all messed up, and there's never a therapist.
Yeah.
You're right.
Perfect utopias. That's why they're perfect. There's no therapy. They're like,
So-
nope, we think
Lexi-
everything's fine.
Yeah.
I straddle the fence on this. I like that there wasn't they didn't do a whole like, you know, the search for Shax kind of thing. I was amused by the fact that like he's just there, and it's like, what, he's there? It's like, yeah, it's like, oh yeah, he's there.
And
Yeah,
he gets
no
that
big
weird
deal.
ketchup on his hot dog, like kiwi, spicy kiwi ketchup. And I was
Spicy
just like,
kiwi.
what the fuck?
Nothing wrong with spicy kiwi. Come on.
And he's like, did you see that? And she's like, yeah, who does that to ketchup? And he's like, no, that's Shax. I was like, classic Mariners, like, oh yeah, they come back all the time.
Yeah.
Bridge crews like that.
I don't know if it's something they'll explore later on with Rutherford, this kind of new deep knowledge that he really, really, really didn't want to know about in that. But I like the fact that, you know, there was no good explanation on that. So they gave a very convoluted explanation that, you know, the rest of us would probably really, really not want to know if we ever.
Yeah.
I have a question. Because it's Bajoran, do you think it's something with the prophets and so
It
on?
has to
that
be,
we'll
right?
see?
Right.
Yeah,
I
right.
wish he would have
Something's
been
going
like,
to
I
happen,
saw
huh?
Cisco.
Yeah, they like went to the celestial
Yeah.
temple and they got him back somehow. You were
There's
gonna
a
read
bright light.
you were gonna read Lexi's comment on Twitch, I think.
Kai Wynn.
Oh yeah. But she was saying that it's cool getting an insight into Orion culture.
And
it's true that
pheromones.
it's the pheromones.
Pheromones, they're really bad this
Pheromones.
time of year.
I like that in Discovery that we got to see a little bit more like Orions as, you know, not like that racist stereotype of whatever they are most of the
Yeah.
time. And I like that Lordex is going a little bit deeper in this. I think Enterprise did it for the Andorians. I'm speaking about Enterprise
Yeah.
Grace. Yeah, you
Good
see
job.
that?
That's right.
I'm proud of you.
Hey, Ian Lake did a good job in Discovery.
He did.
Yep.
Shameless
Yep.
plug to our other interview.
Yeah, hey. Before we get into our rating of this episode, let's do a quick Easter egg hunt. There weren't a ton, but there were a few. Who's got some Easter eggs for this episode?
The
I gotta think.
only one I could, there wasn't a lot, but like the only one that really popped out in my mind, it was during Rutherford when he was having that little freak out moment, and that, you know, it's like he's, you know, still saw like Shax as the Borg, and Shax coming from like a Dyson sphere, and that,
Yeah.
you know, and yeah, just as Rutherford is clutching his head and running out, you can hear Shax going on, "What was up with T'Pol's haircut?"
Thank you. That's what I was gonna say.
What was up with Paul's haircut?
No. What was up with People's haircut in season 1? And
Yes.
compare season 1 to like season 4, and you're like, why?
Yeah.
What was this? Why? Yes.
I liked when Mariner and Boimler were talking in front of Rutherford about like all the ways people have come back from dying, and they're just like, or the ribbon or the nexus, and they're like, well, the ribbon is the nexus.
Yeah.
And they like do all this like
Same
whole back
thing.
and forth where like, and they say it so nonchalantly. Like I love moments like that where they just keep dropping like it's like 80 references in a second, and you're just like,
Because
I
it's
love
all
whatever's
public
happening.
record for them too, and they hear
Yeah.
probably like all the crazy stories over
And it's shit they
subspace
have to
and
be
shit.
worried about
Yeah,
too. They're just like, well, what if we run into a time ribbon?
Yeah.
What if we
And
get
they
stuck
speak
into the
about
nexus?
Genesis too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or
As a
Genesis
bit of
device.
like, the
Yep.
Genesis device. Yeah.
I
So
love
there you
that.
go, the Hawk. The search for Shax was mentioned. I
Was it the
noticed.
space whale?
Listen, my favorite Easter egg from this entire episode was one simple moment. Boimler walking into the turbo lift that doesn't open for when he does the Voyager theme.
Yeah, he was just like singing the boy,
It was
the boy
so
theme.
good. Yeah,
The boy theme.
And then listen,
Boy.
his plate collection is just like a giant like, hi fans, we know you have all our plates from the 90s.
And you love it.
Yeah,
love
the
it.
quarks on the planet
I
that they
love
were
quarks.
on, Klingon punk, and is kind of like a reference to that weird like Klingon opera the chick was playing in I believe it was not Chain of Command, but the Vulcan.
Oh, I know that one.
It was my favorite. It's
Wasn't-
Unifications 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Wasn't there
it's in
also an
Unification
episode
2.
where like the doctor had his hologram family and his son was like really into
Yes,
like
yeah.
Vulcan
Yes.
metal? I mean, that
Yes.
wasn't.
He was hanging out with
what's
the
it called?
Klingon
Klingon metal?
teenagers.
Yeah, and he was
Vulcan
like,
metal?
"Shoot up the-" I accidentally said it. I looked at you and I thought
I
Vulcan.
would
and
listen
I
to
metal.
want
Vulcan
it.
metal.
Yeah. Could you imagine Spock's just like suppressing my emotions and
Suppressing headbanging my bangs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kirk makes me feel so.
I don't think that there were many others. I mean, obviously Tom Paris is an Easter egg technically.
It was
Kazon
just like the
mentioned,
DS9 references were.
yeah,
There were
yeah.
a lot, but I don't think they were like.
they weren't like big deal ones.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
not like as crazy as season 1, but they're like, huh, I got that.
Yeah. Well,
I
I mean,
like it.
last week's episode was crazy. Easter
Well, that one's
eggy.
just because there's so many
Dude,
objects.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys, let's do our rating out of, speaking of commemorative plates, let's rate this one out of 5 commemorative plates. Brittany, we'll start with you.
I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5. I think
Ooh,
the first time I watched it,
okay.
I was gonna say 4 out of 5. But like rewatching it, I was just like, this is just a really fun episode. Like all the missions and the storylines, just like I don't know, like how they figure out what they're gonna do in certain episodes because you're like, none of these should happen in the same episode, and then they do, and it just works and it makes sense. So it made me laugh. I was happy. Like it brought a smile to my face today when I rewatched it, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot how good this episode was because, like Julian, I binge, the episodes, and there's certain moments and stuff when you, especially when you binge, like things stick out to you, and by the episode we all like a lot, episode 5, you're just like, well, nothing's gonna beat that. Like that's earlier on, so you forget, but it's great. I love it. I love what they did.
Yep.
So Shmaiv out of Shmaiv. It's a good episode.
Giraffe.
Okay. I was gonna say 3.5.
You
But
can
I'm
still say
gonna go
3 point. No, you can
4.
still say 3.5.
Have I raised
It's
you?
okay.
I raised you.
Okay,
up.
I watched it at 6 a.m. before going to work. I need to rewatch it. I think both last episode gave me like a kind of bitter taste about Mariner, so I want to see where it's going. I was disappointed about Tom Paris, and the only fun thing I'd say is like the Shax thing. I really like that, like the older references, and then the Orion thing. So yeah, I'm in the middle.
You'll like the next episode, Mariner wise, I think.
I think so too. Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
Let's see. So 3.5, I'm keeping it.
I like it.
I wanted more.
Hey, that's good. It's a passing grade.
wanted
6
more.
out of 10.
Hawk.
No, 7 out of 10. 3.5.
I think I'm
You
gonna
got
go
it.
about a 4.5
3.
on this one. And that it's a very, very strong episode in that. And it's like with all these episodes of Lower Decks and that, they're always rewarding to rewatch and that. And this one in particular, I think you go back, there's layers to it in that you're gonna appreciate more in that. I know the whole thing with Shax coming back is controversial in that, but
Like an onion.
I know, but I think given the list of possibilities of how he could have come back, we would have never
Mhm.
been satisfied with just one.
Yeah.
So I'm going 4.5 Tom Paris plates out of this.
I like it. I like it. Before I go, I'm going to give a couple of the ratings on here. Joe says 5 out of 5 for me. It was so funny. Well done, sir. And Sci-Fi Haven Gaming Jay says I would give it 2 plates. 2 plates. That's fair.
Ooh.
Listen, not every episode is going to be everybody's favorite. And for me, I'm with Giraffe.
Is it gold
3.5.
pressed latinum?
3.5
what the
strips of
plate's
gold
made out
plus
of?
platinum, not plates, just strips. Yeah, no,
Gold plate
3.5. It's a
latinum.
good episode. It's a good episode. I laughed. It's fun. There's references. The Shax thing really doesn't sit well with me. I kind of wish that I love the character and I will be happy to see more of him. I still kind of wish he remained dead for just the moment of Rutherford and sacrificing himself, because
Yes.
it's a good Star Trek moment in season 1. Like, that is a good moment. Yes, bridge crew members come back. Harry Kim's died like 1,000 times in Voyager.
Exactly.
We
If
get
they
it.
would have kept Harry Kim dead, I would have been like, I'm not finishing Voyager. What's the point?
Yes, you would have.
Technically,
No, I
it's the
wouldn't have.
second
I really
Harry
wouldn't
Kim
have.
already, huh? They killed
right.
theirs and they took another one, so
Exactly. He's
Uh,
not even. It's a whole thing.
it's version B.
3.5 out of 5 commemorative plates, which means I would split it off at Voyager and keep the Tom Paris half.
So just boy.
So just yeah, so
Good
just
boy.
boy. Let's get into the that's not the right thing. Let's
Yeah.
get into the subspace poll and mailbag.
Hailing frequencies are open.
And
girl.
we asked our collective if indeed we will always have Tom Paris. Who wants to read our results?
Me.
Hit it.
48% said Captain Proton to the rescue, which is very good. 14% said a good hang on the Delta Flyer. 31% said maybe don't tell B'Elanna about this one. And 7% said stick to the helm, Ensign Paris. So yeah, it seems like pretty split, like how our views are. They
Yeah,
either really liked it or they were like, nah.
The don't tell B'Elanna was actually in the lead for a while during our poll. So yeah, people are split on this, and that's fine. That's what makes television good, and that's what makes Star Trek good. Nobody's ever going to fully agree, and I love that. Speaking of Brittany, you're still up. Why don't you read our first mailbag?
I shall. Fernanda wrote, I want to give a shout out to whoever wrote the Ta'ana scenes, especially the final one. So cat-like, I was dying. Same, Fernanda, same. I had the very same reaction Rutherford had about Shax coming back to life, and no one talking about it. And going full around, the interactions with Mariner were also awesome. And I believe the weakest part of the episode was exactly Tom Paris. But one cannot have it all, right?
Hey, time out real
But
quick.
we can have Tom Paris.
Can you do me a big favor, because you cut out for most of that? Can you go back
Redo
and
it?
reread that? I'm sorry.
I'll redo it. Do I sound okay now?
You sound fine.
Fine. From the beginning, from the top. Fernanda wrote, I want to give a big shout out to whoever wrote the Ta'ana scenes, especially the final one. So cat-like, and I was dying. I had the very same reaction Rutherford had about Shax coming back to life, and no one was talking about it. Tendi going full Orion and the interactions with Mariner were also awesome. I believe the weakest part of the episode was exactly Tom Paris, but one cannot have it all, right?
Right.
To which I say, at least we have Tom Paris.
Indeed.
As a plate.
As a plate. I can't wait to get my plate. I'm not going to eat off of it. Giraffe, you're up with SMKs.
Okay, SMK wrote, this episode had all the components for a really funny story, but oddly enough, the Tom Paris runner dragged the episode down. Some more Voyager beats there, even if they didn't have RDM do more lines. Oh, yeah, sorry. Would have brought this one up a notch. Dialing down the libido post beat runtime could have given them a little more room. Also, the ship doesn't recognize me framing could have been a little more cooked. Still funny. My favorite beats were the shuttle bouncing off the shields, I agree, and Klingon acid punk. Yeah, I forgot about this until he wrote it. Yeah, the boom.
Yeah.
SMK,
Yeah.
I know you're saying things should have been a little more cooked, but remember, the replicators would not give him any cooked
They
food.
wouldn't give him any food.
No
They wouldn't
cooked
give him
food,
any food.
just
No
a
food.
bonsai,
They did give him
not
too
true.
many hot bananas in the first ever episode of
which is
Lower
very
Decks,
funny because
which
he
is
couldn't even get a hot banana this time.
you still have that record, right, Giraffe? That Klingon acid punk record that I listened to when I was over, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
I listen
it was
every
good.
morning.
It was good.
Excellent.
It was good.
That's how she wakes up
Perfect.
every morning.
Exactly.
Hawk, you're up.
All right, Jay wrote, hey, Jay, I am in complete agreement with SMK where the Tom Paris scenes actually brought the episode down. I feel like they brought in RDM more to connect the show with the Roddenberry Berman era, even though the show is a total tribute to the 50 years of Trek, which defined the era, which is part of the same issues I had where they brought in Seven on Star Trek Picard, or even to connect to Marvel when they basically had Captain Marvel miss 90% of Endgame. But not to end on a sour note, I love how they are mixing up the characters. So having Tendi and Mariner together is so amazing. The scenes with them together were probably the best parts of the episode.
I do agree that Captain Marvel missing 90% of Endgame was complete bullshit. And
Agreed.
also added to
100%.
me
I
in that
agree.
movie.
Yeah.
Nerfed her for no reason.
Nope. I mean, she
Sent her to
did
space
take
to be a
out
deadbeat
like
dad.
his whole fleet at the end, which was still
Eh,
pretty fucking badass.
not
She
enough.
still should have been the one to take him out. That said.
He had to waste a whole infinity.
I'll just read the last two since Aaron had to take off. Andy Kaufman, I love that we have this running joke now, by the way. Andy Kaufman wrote, this was a 2.5 out of 5 commemorative plates for me. Tom Paris was way underused. I really wanted him to say, yes, ma'am, to Carol. But I did enjoy him thinking Boimler was a Kazon. I thought the Tendi Mariner team up was great, but a little contrived, though the doc in the box was great. The whole Shax thing was really weird, especially considering how emotional his exit was. The reintroduction just didn't work. Agreed. Hoping we get more of this down the road because Shax deserves better. Also agreed. The shuttle bouncing off the shields really cracked me up, as did I. And Mariner was on DS9 with Worf,
Yes.
We need a flashback with, listen, you don't think Michael
It'll
Dorn would
happen.
come back in instant?
In a
Oh,
heartbeat.
you will.
In a
For
heartbeat.
sure.
I mean, listen, it could be happening. We just don't know about it yet.
Yeah.
A fun episode, but not really up to the standard of the first two. And that's okay. Thank you. That's what I've been saying. It's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. And then finally, Lexi wrote, a fun episode overall, though I do have some mild criticisms, I must admit. At points, I did worry it was perhaps venturing too far into the meta, with Mariner and Tendi almost talking directly to the camera, which I don't have a problem with, but I get it, about
Said
never
they broke the fourth
interacting
wall.
in season 1. Yeah, I mean, listen, Mariner is kind of like Wade Wilson.
Mariner
right?
is
Like,
the
a little bit.
Deadpool of
Yeah.
this show.
Totally.
Yes.
Boimler and Mariner fanning out over Voyager, Rutherford's whole every bridge character comes back from the dead shtick, etc. Speaking of, while it's awesome to have Shax back, it almost feels like it undercuts the emotionality and impact of the season 1 finale, especially with how sudden, vague, and ultimately how played for morbid comedy it is. Agreed. Seeing Tom Paris again was neat for what it was, and the dynamic between Mariner and Tendi was the prime meat of the episode. Solid stuff. Lexi,
Nice.
Yeah.
that's like my whole entire review of this episode. Well done. Well done.
We
I loved
agree.
it.
Ding.
Yeah, we agree.
Yeah.
We agree.
We agree with everybody. You always bring up good points.
Yeah, Lexi's
By the
got
end, we're like,
the
this
good
is what we're talking
mailbags.
about.
Jay, real quick before we wrap up, says Lexi, come on, we had 2 lower decks talking in Shuttle Pod 1 and Enterprise and talking directly to the camera about how hot T'Pol is. I mean, listen, they're not wrong. It was Enterprise. They did some fucked up shit back then. Anyway, this was, listen, we may be shills now, but we will never say everything is perfect.
We're not shills because we're not paid.
That's right. So there you go. That is going to do it for season 2, episode 3. We'll always have Tom Paris. We'll be back next week with season 2, episode 4. I don't remember the title, and that's okay. Things are okay. We'll be back with that. If you're looking for content in the meantime, if you did not catch the first part of our live stream tonight, which was our interview with John Jackson Miller about his new book, Star Trek Picard Rogue Elements, that drops this Monday for Patreon members. You're getting the whole uncut thing like tomorrow. Whenever it's going to happen, but we'll be back Friday with another main episode and Lower Decks review. So for Spotted Draft, for Brittany, for Hawk, for Aaron, who was transported away, I will say live long and prosper. Majram.
Thanks for beaming into our podcast today. If you want to keep the hailing frequencies open, you can subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Like what you hear? Put in a good word with Starfleet and leave us a 5-star review.